First Contact's Folly. Admiral Zenith of the Kryvax Collective stood at the observation deck of the Starweaver, their flagship's crystalline walls pulsing with neural activity. The small blue planet rotating below seemed unremarkable. Just another world to add to their vast empire of conquered civilizations. Earth, as the natives called it, didn't even register as a Level 2 civilization on the Kardashev scale. Preliminary scans complete, Admiral, announced Science Director Venna, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with excitement. Their defensive capabilities are primitive. Nuclear weapons, kinetic barriers, and basic space stations, nothing our shields can't handle. But something about the data troubled Zenith. After 3 millennia of successful conquests across 17 galaxies, they had developed an instinct for danger. The humans' communications were chaotic, their society fragmented, their technology inconsistent. Yet they had achieved more in 2 centuries than most species managed in 2 millennia. Begin the standard psychological warfare protocol, Zenith commanded. Let's see how they handle fear. The Kryvax had perfected the art of conquest through fear. Their quantum-entangled fear inductors could trigger mass panic in entire populations. Most civilizations surrendered within hours of the first wave. But as the fear inductors powered up, something unprecedented occurred. Dr. Sarah Chen sat in her laboratory at the Neurological Defense Institute, monitoring the incoming alien signals. Her team had detected the quantum signatures the moment the Kryvax ships entered the solar system. But instead of inducing terror, the signals provided invaluable data about consciousness itself. "They're trying to hack our minds," she said, fascination evident in her voice. "But they don't understand. Human consciousness isn't a program to be overwritten. It's a garden that grows stronger with every challenge." Across the globe, humans experienced the fear wave differently. Some felt it as a gentle pressure, others as an interesting sensation to be studied. But none reacted with the blind panic the Kryvax expected. Instead, neural imaging showed human brains literally rewiring themselves, adapting to and learning from the attack. Admiral Zenith received the first reports with disbelief. Impossible. Increase the fear inductor power to maximum. They must break. But humanity didn't break. They evolved. In underground bunkers and secret laboratories, scientists like Dr. Chen began to understand the quantum mechanics behind the Kryvax technology. Every attack provided new insights into the nature of consciousness itself. The fear waves became teaching tools, each pulse revealing more about how the alien technology functioned. "They're not just resisting," Dr. Chen explained to the United Earth Defense Council. "We're learning. Every attempt to induce fear gives us more data about quantum consciousness. The attack itself is making us stronger." The Kryvax noticed something else, something that sent shivers through their collective consciousness. The humans were beginning to emit their own quantum signals, crude but growing more sophisticated by the hour. Somehow, they were reverse engineering the fear technology even as it was being used against them. "Shut it down," Zenith ordered. But it was too late. The humans had already learned too much. Dr. Chen's team made the breakthrough on day 3 of the invasion attempt. The fear inductors work by creating quantum entanglement between consciousness fields, she announced. But human consciousness isn't static. It's dynamic, always growing, always adapting. We don't just resist the entanglement, we transform it. The Kryvax watched in mounting concern as their most sophisticated psychological weapon became a tool for human advancement. Their sensors detected increasing complexity in human neural patterns, accelerating evolution in human consciousness itself. The first human counterattack came not in the form of weapons, but understanding. Earth's quantum communications network lit up with new patterns that showed humanity had not only understood the Kryvax technology, but had begun to improve upon it. Admiral Zenith faced a decision no Kryvax commander had ever encountered. Their most powerful weapon had not only failed but had accelerated the development of the very civilization they had come to conquer. The humans weren't just surviving. They were thriving on the challenge. As the first day of the invasion attempt drew to a close, Dr. Chen made another discovery that would change everything. The fear inductors, she explained to her team. They're not just weapons. They're tools for consciousness expansion. The Kryvacs never realized their true potential because they only saw them as instruments of destruction. As the first day of the invasion attempt drew to a close, Dr. Chen made another discovery that would change everything. The fear inductors, she explained to her team. They're not just weapons. They're tools for consciousness expansion. The Kryvacs never realized their true potential because they only saw them as instruments of destruction. The Mind Maze. The Kryvacs collective's second wave of attack came not with fear, but with confusion. Their reality distortion fields were designed to shatter a species' understanding of their own existence. It had broken civilizations far more advanced than humanity, reducing entire planets to gibbering chaos within days. Dr. James Morrison, leading the Reality Coherence Division at the Global Defense Initiative, watched the incoming wave with professional interest. They're trying to destabilize our perception of reality, he noted, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. But they don't understand. Humans question reality all the time. It's what we do. The reality distortion fields rolled across Earth like invisible tsunamis. In previous conquests, they had induced mass psychosis, causing civilizations to tear themselves apart. But humans responded differently. Instead of breaking under the cosmic uncertainty, they embraced it. Philosophers joined quantum physicists in analyzing the distortion fields. Mystics collaborated with neuroscientists. The human mind, it seemed, had an infinite capacity for adapting to new paradigms of reality. It's fascinating, Dr. Morrison explained to his international colleagues. The Kryvacs technology operates on principles similar to quantum superposition. They're trying to force our consciousness into multiple contradictory states. But human consciousness already does that naturally. We live with contradiction every day. The Kryvacs watched in growing alarm as their reality distortion fields produced unexpected results. Instead of mass confusion, they observed increasing clarity. Humans began reporting enhanced states of awareness, deeper understanding of quantum mechanics, and accelerated creative problem-solving abilities. Sarah Martinez, a quantum consciousness researcher in Buenos Aires, made the first breakthrough. The distortion fields aren't destroying our reality. They're showing us how reality is constructed. Every attempt to confuse us just reveals more about the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. The Kryvacs' third attack targeted human memory itself. Their temporal disruptors were designed to fragment a species' sense of time and identity. But again, humanity's response defied all previous experience. Time isn't just linear for us, Dr. Morrison noted. We exist in memory and imagination as much as in the present moment. The Kryvacs are trying to use that against us, but they're actually helping us understand how consciousness moves through time. As the temporal disruptors reached full power, something unprecedented occurred. Human consciousness began to show signs of quantum temporal coherence, the ability to maintain stable identity across multiple time streams. The very weapon meant to fragment human consciousness was instead unifying it at a deeper level. The Kryvacs Science Division reported disturbing findings to their high command. Human neural patterns were showing evolution that should have taken millions of years. Each attack intended to destroy their consciousness was instead accelerating its development. Dr. Morrison's team made another stunning discovery. The Kryvacs weapons aren't just affecting individual consciousness. They're creating a field of shared awareness. We're beginning to understand consciousness itself as a quantum phenomenon. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just surviving the attacks. They were using them to reach new levels of understanding and capability. The weapons designed to destroy their minds were becoming tools for unprecedented growth. Meanwhile, in orbit, the Kryvacs faced a growing crisis. Their most sophisticated consciousness weapons, technologies that had conquered thousands of worlds, were being transformed into catalysts for human evolution. Each attack made humanity stronger, more unified, more aware. "They don't break," reported the Krygak's chief scientist, their bioluminescence pulsing with agitation. "They don't even resist in any way we understand. They absorb, they learn, they grow." The humans began developing their own applications of the quantum consciousness technology. Where the Krygaks had seen only weapons, humanity saw tools for understanding, growth, and evolution. The reality distortion fields became gateways to deeper awareness. The temporal disruptors sparked new insights into the nature of time and consciousness. Dr. Morrison summarized it in a report to the World Science Council. The Krygaks didn't realize what they were actually creating. These aren't weapons. They're tools for expanding consciousness. We're not just surviving their attacks. We're using them to become something new. Collective confusion. The Krygaks' high command gathered in their quantum-linked consciousness chamber, their collective awareness troubled by unprecedented failure. Admiral Zenith's biopatterns pulsed with distress as they shared the latest analysis. The humans, they reported, are not merely resistant. They are transformative. Each weapon we deploy becomes a tool for their evolution. We have never encountered anything like this. On Earth, the transformation was accelerating. Dr. Elena Rossi at the European Consciousness Research Institute monitored the changes with growing excitement. Human consciousness was exhibiting properties that defied conventional understanding. The Krygaks' weapons operate on principles of quantum consciousness manipulation, she explained to a global conference of scientists. But human consciousness isn't just quantum compatible, it's quantum creative. We don't just interact with these fields, we reshape them. The Krygaks deployed their ultimate weapon, the consciousness nullifier. Designed to completely suppress higher cognitive functions, it had rendered entire civilizations catatonic. But when the nullification wave reached Earth, something extraordinary happened. Instead of suppressing human consciousness, it revealed its true nature. Humans began experiencing states of awareness that transcended normal perception. The nullification field became a lens through which humanity could observe the quantum nature of consciousness itself. They fundamentally misunderstood what consciousness is, Dr. Rossi noted. They thought it was something that could be suppressed or destroyed. But consciousness isn't a mechanism. It's an emergent phenomenon. The more they try to nullify it, the more it expands. The Krygaks watched in mounting horror as their most powerful weapon produced effects they had never imagined possible. Humans weren't just maintaining consciousness under nullification. They were achieving new states of awareness that their sensors couldn't even classify. Dr. Rossi's team made another breakthrough. The nullification field isn't destroying consciousness. It's revealing its underlying structure. We're learning more about the nature of awareness in days than we had in centuries of research. The Krygak Science Division reported increasingly disturbing findings. Human neural patterns were showing signs of quantum entanglement on a massive scale. Consciousness wasn't being suppressed. It was being unified. They're becoming something else. The Krygak's chief scientist warned. Something we don't understand. On Earth, the transformation continued. Humans began developing technologies based on their new understanding of consciousness. Where the Krygaks had built weapons, humanity built tools for communication, healing, and growth. Dr. Rossi's research revealed something else, something that sent shockwaves through both human and Krygak civilization. Consciousness isn't just a product of neural activity, she explained. It's a fundamental force of the universe, like gravity or electromagnetism. The Krygak's weapons helped us see it. The implications were revolutionary. Humanity wasn't just defending against the Krygaks. They were transcending the very paradigm of conflict. Each weapon deployed against them became a key to understanding the deeper nature of reality itself. The tables turn. The Krygak's fleet hung in Earth orbit, their crystalline ships pulsing with increasingly erratic patterns. For the first time in their history of conquest, they faced not defeat, but transformation. The weapons they had deployed against humanity were being turned into something entirely new. Dr. Marcus Wong at the Quantum Consciousness Institute made the breakthrough that would change everything. The Kryvax weapons, he announced, are based on a fundamental misunderstanding of consciousness. They saw it as something to be controlled or destroyed. We see it as something to be explored and expanded. Humanity began not just defending against the Kryvax weapons, but actively using them for development. The fear inductors became tools for emotional intelligence. The reality distortion fields opened new avenues of scientific understanding. The temporal disruptors revealed the true nature of time and consciousness. We're not just surviving their attacks, Dr. Wong explained to the United Earth Council. We're using them to become something more than we were. Each weapon they deploy accelerates our evolution. The Kryvax watched in growing alarm as their most sophisticated technology was not just neutralized, but transformed. Humans weren't breaking under the assault, they were transcending it. The Kryvax gave us the tools for our own evolution without realizing it, Dr. Wong noted. Their weapons aren't just failing. They're helping us understand the true nature of consciousness itself. As the fourth week of the invasion attempt drew to a close, humanity began to exhibit capabilities that the Kryvax couldn't even measure. Their sensors detected quantum coherence patterns that shouldn't have been possible, consciousness fields that defied their understanding of reality. Evolution's edge. The final confrontation between humanity and the Kryvax collective wasn't a battle, it was a revelation. Dr. Sarah Chen, now leading the Global Consciousness Initiative, made the discovery that would reshape both civilizations' understanding of reality. The Kryvax weapons, she explained, were never meant to be weapons at all. They're tools for consciousness evolution that were being used backwards. Instead of suppressing consciousness, they're meant to expand it. The Kryvax fleet received the transmission with their equivalent of shock. Humanity hadn't just survived their most powerful weapons, they had discovered their true purpose. What the Kryvax had spent millennia using for destruction was actually designed for creation. Your weapons, Dr. Chen transmitted to the Kryvax fleet, are actually the legacy of an ancient civilization. They weren't meant to conquer, they were meant to transform. You've been using them wrong all this time. The evidence was undeniable. Under the influence of the Kryvax weapons, human consciousness had evolved more in weeks than it had in millions of years. But instead of breaking under the transformation, humanity had embraced it, understood it, and improved upon it. Admiral Zenith faced the ultimate decision. The weapons they had relied on for conquest had been transformed into tools for evolution. The civilization they had come to conquer had instead shown them a truth they had never suspected. We offer you a choice, Dr. Chen transmitted. Continue trying to use these tools for destruction, or join us in discovering their true purpose. Your weapons haven't failed. They finally succeeded in doing what they were meant to do all along. The Kryvax collective, for the first time in their history, faced not a military decision, but a philosophical one. The humans hadn't just defeated their weapons, they had transcended the very concept of warfare itself. In the end, it wasn't human defiance that proved most terrifying to the Kryvax. It was human transformation. They had come to conquer a primitive species and instead found teachers who showed them the true nature of the technology they had been misusing for millennia. The war that never was ended not with Sir. The Kryvax fleet remained in Earth orbit, not as conquerors or conquered, but as students. Their crystalline ships, once instruments of war, became centers of joint research and exploration. Dr. Chen led the first joint human Kryvax consciousness research team. Together, they began to unlock the true potential of the ancient technology. What had been weapons became bridges between minds, tools for exploring the deeper nature of reality itself. Humanity's most terrifying ability, Admiral Zenith would later write in their historical archives, was never their capacity for violence or resistance. It was their ability to transform, to take what was meant to destroy them and use it to evolve. They didn't just survive our weapons, they showed us what those weapons were always meant to be. The legacy of the failed invasion became known across the galaxy not as a story of conflict, but as a turning point in cosmic civilization. Humanity's gift wasn't just survival or adaptation. It was the ability to see beyond conflict itself, to transform weapons into tools, enemies into allies, and challenges into opportunities for growth. The Kryvax Collective, once dedicated to conquest, became partners in exploration. Their ancient weapons, transformed by human understanding, became the foundation for a new age of consciousness exploration and species cooperation. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't defeating an enemy, it was transforming one. The very weapons meant to destroy them had instead unveiled the next step in conscious evolution, not just for humans, but for all species ready to take that step. And so this story that began with an invasion ended with an invitation to all species to join in exploring not the power of conquest, but the unlimited potential of consciousness itself.